We're going to talk today about parenting. So, New Year's Eve, I did a sermon. It was a standalone sermon called Fight for Your Family. And that sermon, for whatever reason, has gathered more online views than any other sermon that we put online, with the exception to some from the coronavirus time when we all had to watch online. But it's the most viewed sermon over the last 4 years anyway. And so I thought maybe there's a heart, I need to learn more about parenting. So we're going to do a really short, just 2-week series on parenting. And so I want you to lean in. Let me just say on the front end, I'm not a parenting expert. I'm not a perfect dad. My wife Nancy's not a perfect mom. We make mistakes. I made a mistake last night. I lost my anger and kind of got upset at one of my children. I had to apologize to the whole family during family prayer time. So I make mistakes, okay? You can read all the parenting books. Listen to all the parenting podcasts, go to all the parenting conferences, and still have issues as a parent because you're dealing with people. Littler people, but people, and people have problems, and people are different, and our homes are different. And so there are no quick fixes to parenting, and everything I say today, you could implement these things. It's not going to immediately improve your home, but I promise it will eventually. Now, let me also say I'm cognizant some of you have teenagers, some of you have toddlers, some of you have both. And so the things I'm talking about today, you implement them differently based on the age of your kids. I'm also cognizant there's people in the room who have no kids, or maybe you're outside of the stage of life with kids and now you have grandkids, or maybe you've just never had kids in your life. Don't check out, okay? Please, please. I'm telling you, there is somebody younger than you that's looking up to you, that you have influence over. And so whether you're a parent, an empty nester, a coach, a teacher, or just a caring adult, lean in, take good notes. Let's find out how we can love the next generation succeeding us better. Now, full disclosure, I'm going to be teaching some out of this book called Intentional Parenting. Last year, Doug Fields was here. He did a marriage conference, which I think a lot of us enjoyed. He also does a lot of stuff on parenting, and this is coming from his book. He has 10 ways to be an exceptional parent in a quick fix world. I'm not going to give you 10. I don't have time. I'm going to give you 5, and I'm going to give you one of my own. So some of this comes from Doug. If you like what we're talking about today, I encourage you to invest in this book. It's about $20, but this will really help you in this journey of being an intentional parent. All right, are we ready? Let's take some good notes today. Here's the first kind of tip or practice that he would say this is a really important principle, and that is to have a strong belief. A strong belief. The strong belief meaning to have a strong belief that I matter, that you matter, and that the greatest influence in kids' lives are the parents, hands down. The greatest influence in your kids' lives are the parents. And you say, what about Travis Scott, Ariana Grande, Taylor Swift, video games, and social media? Listen, the only time that peers win out is when parents pull out, or maybe more typical in our society is when parents are just too busy. But your beliefs, your values, your actions are influencing your kids more than anything else. You're important to kids, and kids are important to God. Look at this. Children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from Him. And when you think about it from that perspective of like, okay, God, this kid is a gift. If God gave you a gift, you would go, man, I want to treasure this gift. I want to value this gift. You would think differently about your kids. And so think about it from that perspective. These are a gift from the Lord. I love this out of Ephesians. Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. Not really a parenting verse, but I think it's a great parenting verse, that you want to make the most of every opportunity because the days are not only evil, but they're short. I read a book by Reggie Joiner called Slow Fade. And he writes in there that from birth to graduation, you get roughly 1,000 weeks with your kiddos. That's it. 1,000 weeks. And as someone who has a sophomore in high school, I've got about 120 weeks left before I send him off into adulthood. Those weeks fly by. All right? So you go, okay, the days are numbered. In fact, Moses in Psalm 90:12 says, teach us to number our days, O Lord, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. So I want you to go, okay, I don't have many days. I want to make the most of every single one that God gives me with these children. All right, so that's the first one. Have a strong belief. If you have a belief that I matter, that I'm the greatest influence in my kid's life, you'll start prioritizing your parenting over your paycheck. You will. I know I'm stepping on some toes. You got 10, you'll be fine. All right. Here's number 2. Ongoing affection. Ongoing affection. Now, here's the thing about ongoing affection that I love. Women, you can kind of check out for a minute because you already pretty much do this naturally. You're just naturally more nurturing and more affectionate. Guys, we struggle with this, which is why in the history of recorded humanity, no kid has ever hurt themselves in the front yard, ran into the house and said, "Dad!" That's never happened. Why? Because dads don't care. We don't care. We're like, rub some dirt in it. Just, yes, shake it off, right? But Dad, the bone's sticking out. It's fine. You'll be fine. Get away from the TV. Give me an ice cream. You know, we just don't care. I remember growing up, I'd get sick, and my mother would give me this like little bell, and I would ring the bell, and she would attend me like a servant. And like, what can I get you, baby? My dad never answered the bell. And I never understood that. I was sick, and my dad never responded. And then I became a dad, and I realized, oh, he was tired. That's what I realized. So we got to have affection. We've got to figure this out, gentlemen. We've got to figure this out because social science has proven that emotionally healthy children have this in common. They're getting ongoing affection. We have this thing called skin hunger, and it's exactly what you think it is. It's our skin hungering to be touched by somebody else, by another human's skin. And so you have skin hunger, and if we don't meet those, parents, listen to me, if we don't meet those in appropriate ways, our kids will find inappropriate ways to meet that skin hunger. Are you following me, or do I need to expand on that? So we've got to meet these in appropriate ways. And I understand there are some hurdles. I understand some of you have some real difficulties and challenges because I wasn't modeled that as a kid. I had misguided affection when I was a kid. I'm not a touchy-feely person, Reed. That's just not my personality. And I understand those are real issues, but you have to overcome those issues or your kids will suffer. We got to figure this out. I didn't really have a touchy-feely dad. My dad was not really touchy-feely with me, but I've overcome that, and I've learned to hold my kids and hug my kids and tickle my kids, and I've got boys, so I'm wrestling. I wrestled my oldest yesterday afternoon, showed him I'm still dad and I can still whoop you. You know what I'm saying, right? Okay. You got to have some of that ongoing affection. That's really, really important. I'm just going to bear hug you, wrap my arms around you, right? And let me be honest, when they become teenagers, they're going to want it less. They're going to avoid you, pour it on more. I mean thick, right? And by the way, this applies in marriages as well. Skin hunger doesn't stop when you turn 18. If anything, it probably increases. And I just do enough counseling to know that if the partners are not getting skin hunger, that need satiated by their partner, then they start going outside the marriage to look for that. You follow me? Okay? So this is a really big deal. So just figure it out, right? Start somewhere. Throw your leg over them while you're watching a television show. Put them in a headlock, right? If you're at a complete loss, just trip and fall on them. I'm so sorry, son, right? Just figure it out. And Dad, where are my dads of daughters? Dads of daughters? Pour it on thick, guys. Pour it on thick. They need that. Healthy, appropriate. And I put the word ongoing as the modifier. You can't just give them a noogie and say, okay, we're good till next year, right? No, it's got to be like this consistent, okay? Ongoing affection. All right. Here's number 3, and that's encouraging words. Encouraging words. I touched on this briefly on New Year's Eve. I said speak life into your kids, but we really need to encourage our kids. Encourage. And I have never had anybody ever in the history of 43 years of life, I've never had somebody say, you know what, I wish you'd stop encouraging me. I've had it up to here with your encouragement. I've never had that happen. Nobody, you can't over-encourage somebody. You can't. Ephesians 4:29, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. So I want to build you up. So I'm just going to encourage, I'm going to encourage. Think of encouragement as food for the soul, but most of our kids are growing up in a home in starvation. I just need to be encouraged. I need to be encouraged. I love this verse out of Proverbs 12. The words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Whoever came up with the phrase, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, is a moron. All right? Because I would much rather be hit by a stick or a stone because that bruise will heal over time. In fact, research has shown that the way our bodies and brains respond to verbal abuse and physical abuse is the exact same, but the physical abuse I will heal over time. Some of you had a word lodged into your head by a caring adult years ago, a parent, a coach, a teacher, a neighbor, and it is stuck with you. You know what I'm talking about. That word has not left you. It has left a permanent bruise on your life. And so our words shape people. You get that, right? I can prove it to you. You've all seen this illustration where this mother comes up. I want to introduce you to my daughter, Jill. She's shy as Jill cowers behind her mother's legs because she's heard that modifier thousands of times, and it's literally shaped who she is. Or some guy saying, hey, this is my son Carlos. He's a wild child. As Carlos lets out a demonic laugh and sets a mesquite tree on fire, right? We shape our kids with our words. We got to be careful. Like, I can't, okay. Be careful with your words, because I feel like a lot of times we're super negative. If I were to take a recording device, put it in your home, secretly record all of your conversations between your spouse and you and your kids, come back to my office, write it all down, transcribe it, and put it into a positive column or a negative column, which would weigh more? In most of our homes, it's the negative. We're always negative. We're all, oh, you got your mud from the boots on the carpet. Get the backpack off the coffee table. Get the cat out of the microwave. We're always negative, 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 negative. Shift that. We've got it. How many of you love being around negative people? Show of hands. Love being around negative people. Nobody. Wow. So when you're negative all the time, you're conditioning your spouse and your kids to not want to be around you. Hello. Let's flip it. And when we see something positive, say it as positive. Hey, buddy, you put this toilet seat down. I'm so proud of you. Here's a licorice, Mountain Dew, and a gerbil. You know, just find something to just encourage. Start small. I'm glad you're breathing today, man. Good job, right? Just start small. You've heard of Rosetta Stone, right, to learn a new language? Some of you need a Rosetta Stone for encouragement. You need to learn that language. Just picture your spouse and your kids with a tattoo on their head that says, encourage me. They need it. They need you to encourage. And I would also add this, when you encourage them, try not to make it performance-based. What I mean by that is don't let the only time they hear the encouragement is when they score the winning basket or get the good grade. Because then when they don't get that, they're not going to feel that same love and affirmation from you. So like my son, whether it was a win or a loss in a basketball game, he heard this every single time we got done. Hey, I love to watch you play, which is true. I can say that on a good game. I can say that when he had 7 turnovers. Hey, I love to watch you play. I love to, so shift some of that too. I think so many times our encouragement is only when they're doing something good. Think about it in the bad too. Just think about it. I just want to encourage them all the time, anytime. How can I affirm, right? You just find ways to celebrate them. Hey, thanks for being patient with your brother. I was noticing that. Hey, I appreciate you taking care of your mom. I know she wasn't feeling well and you got her something to drink. I appreciate that. Hey, thanks for standing firm in your beliefs. That was really cool. Hey, I looked at your report card and I noticed you weren't cheating. Good job, buddy. Right? Just something. Just find some way to lift him. I love this. Luke 6. A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart, and an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart, for the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. This is Jesus. He's saying out of the overflow of your heart, your mouth is going to speak. And so if you're having a difficult time speaking encouragement, you might need to do a heart check and go, you know what, have I worshiped lately? Have I been praying lately? Have I spent time reflecting and thanking God for all my blessings in my life? That could be part of the antidote. It's just checking your heart, making sure your heart's right. And then that's what happens with me. I sometimes will lose my temper, and I usually, it's really quick. I'm just like, okay, I've got to get back in the Word. I've got to spend some time with Jesus. I'm susceptible to this too, okay? All right. Here's the next one, number 4, consistent presence. Consistent presence. And you spell the word presence, T-I-M-E. All right? You got to have time with your kids. And they don't want quality time. Oh, we'll take a big vacation this summer. Do the vacation. They want quantity time. Quantity time is quality time. They just need your time. right? Where you just say, I'm gonna value you. I'm gonna spend time with you. Last night is a great example. We lost an hour of sleep. Come on, somebody. And then I just had some other things that did not go as planned in my day, and so I was a little behind with what I needed to do. I wanted to refresh the sermon and think through some things, and it was late last night, and our family watches Survivor together, and we had not watched the episode this week, and so I said, hey, let's watch Survivor. And my wife was like, no, you've got a lot going on. I said, no, I'm literally teaching on this. I need to show them that they matter to me. So yeah, I'm operating on a little less sleep than I would like, but this is important. You've got to have consistent presence, have some time. Now, let me just say this. If you're a single parent or a step parent, you are my hero. That is awesome. And you go above and beyond many times to answer the call to be that for your kiddos. If you are a single parent and you're working tirelessly to provide for your kids and it's just to survive, then you get a pass, okay? But if you are working to pay for the hobby of the kid or for some sport activity for the kid, and you're really just satiating your own insecurities, then I would say be careful. All right, this might be an issue for you. In fact, when they did some research on what causes angry, rage-filled kids, the number one cause of anger and rage and hostility in kids, are you ready for this? Is perceived inaccessibility of one or both parents. It wasn't because you took their phone away. It was not even inaccessibility, it was perceived inaccessibility of one or both parents. Well, I'm a stay-at-home mom. Well, if there's a perception that you're not accessible because you're always on your phone, or you always have a laptop open, then it's gonna create rage, hostility, and anger in these kids. So you have to ask yourself this question: what may need to be sacrificed so my kids aren't sacrificed? I got to be careful with some of these things. I'm spending a little bit too much time doing this, and I do need to talk about this because this has become an issue for a lot of us. We're just always on the phone, and that can be dangerous. I'm in a men's small group on Tuesday nights, and we've been talking about how this is a dangerous thing. We're just always scrolling. Just turn it off. Spend some time with your kids. By the way, if this is you, you're a dork. I don't know how to put that nicely, but stop doing that. Stop wearing this. That wasn't cool. If it was in the 80s, it still wouldn't be cool. Put it in your fanny pack and stop. Now, if you're driving and you've got this in your ear, you're being hands-free and safe, that's okay. If you're a member of the Secret Service, that's totally fine. If you're the ShamWow guy, I'm good with it, but if this is you, you're a dork, so stop. Okay. All right. We got to figure this out. But here's what happens. Here's what happens. When you put this away, it communicates to your kids, you matter to me. All right? With our family, we just take phones off at the table. Phones at the table. And every once in a while, I'm guilty. It'll buzz, and I'll go, ooh, what was that? And my kids will call me out and go, hey, no phones at the table. I love that. Oh, you're right. You're right. No phones at the table. I know some families say no phones in the car. That's a great time to no phones in the car, no technology in the car. Guess why? Because they're trapped with you and they have to talk to you. Right? There's no place for them to run. So figure it out. We got to. When you're reading a book to your child for the 80th time, it says you matter to me. When you're at a 7th grade girls basketball game, it says you matter to me. Because you're not there for the athletic sport. The final score is 6-4. That's boring. All right. I love you. Right. We got to figure this out. Consistent, and notice I said consistent presence, not constant presence. You don't have to be everywhere all the time. I don't go to every single practice and every single game, and I don't do that. I just want that to be the exception, not the rule. So consistently be around, all right? Here's number 5 of 6, serious fun. Make your home fun. Your kid is going to find the fun home and spend their time there. When I was growing up, it was at the Hurley house. That's where I was at Keith and Karen's Hurley because Caleb's house was funner than mine. I want my house to be the fun house. And so my wife and I have invested. We bought like 2 screens, put video game systems on them. We're going to get a refrigerator in that room, put sodas in there. We've already got a little snack bar. We want all the kids to go, let's go to the Johnson house. Because I would rather them come to my house and me influence their kids than my kids go to someone else's house and be influenced by somebody else. So make sure that you're having some serious fun in your house. Create fun traditions. We don't buy Christmas gifts anymore for our kids. It's very rare that we buy an actual gift. We buy them a trip. So at Christmas, we said, hey, we're all going to Disney. And that's what we got them for Christmas. I think that's fun. And my kids don't remember what the toy that I bought them 3 years ago, but they remember a trip I took them on 10 years ago. They just do. So create serious fun. We create like traditions. So I have 3 boys, so we go on what's called a man day. I went on one Friday and Saturday and took all 3 of my boys, and we went to Dallas, and we just did manly things and ate chicken off the bone. Just manly things, right? We're gonna do manly things. And that's fun, and we create some really cool memories and momentum. Some other traditions I've heard about that I thought were cool. There's a pastor family that they do like the Amazing Race every year, and it's the guy and his sons and the wife and her daughters, and the girls go off and the guys go off, and they have this race all over the city to do all these different activities and see who wins and who finishes first. Another pastor friend of mine, he does a photography challenge in December. They all love photography. They have a passion for that, and so it could be something like take a picture of a building, or take a picture of some product in the bathroom. And so they all have to find something in the bathroom and take a really cool, unique shot of that with their cameras. They upload all the pictures online, and then they have all of their friends vote on which one's the best without knowing whose picture's whose. That's kind of fun. The guy who wrote this book, Doug, he says he plays coaster catch. So when they go to restaurants, they're just waiting on their food to come, they get the coasters, and whoever's sitting across them at the table, they take the coaster and they throw it, and they have to catch it in their teeth like that. What a great game. What a great way to pass the time, right? So just find some traditions. Hey, let's make some fun. Let's create some memories, and that's huge. Let's have some serious fun. Make your home a fun one. Your kids are going to find the fun. Make sure it's at your house. Here's the 6th one. This is the one I added. Get close to God. This one's big. And let me lean into the gentleman in the room. If you're a man in the room, this is really big for you because the Bible has called us to lead our families. And I'm not asking you to be super spiritual. I'm just asking you to be spiritual. All right, let me show you in Proverbs. Reverence for God gives a man deep strength. His children have a place of refuge and security. So guys, let's go after God. I love this too. You can do everything I've talked about today, but if you don't get God involved, unless the Lord builds the house, its builders labor in vain. All right, so you can have a strong belief, you can have ongoing affection, you can have encouraging words. By the way, those two are a good 1-2 combo. Because ongoing affection says, I love you with my touch, and encouraging words says, I love you with my words. I'm going to have consistent presence. We're going to have a fun house. But if I don't have God involved, I'm doing all of this in vain. And some people would look at other kids, other families, and go, man, they're just so lucky. They just, look at them. Their kids are just really, they're angels. And look at ours. They're not, right? Listen, great families aren't great by accident. That's why this book's called Intentional Parenting. There's intentionality. I'm going to make sure that I have a strong belief this is really, really important. So I'm going to do the things that I need to do, that I can control, to make sure my kids end up in the best position possible. So get close to God. So that may be a conversation you have with your spouse is saying, hey, are we close to God? Are we praying enough? Are we spending time in the Word? Are we prioritizing church? When my wife found out we were doing this series, she said something that God has really been speaking to me about is the excess activities that we participate in, okay? I'm gonna step on a few more toes, but you still have 8. I just broke 2 earlier. When I was growing up, I don't feel like sports was a big deal on Sundays and Wednesdays. I felt like that they kind of honored those days, and they don't anymore because they figured out that nobody does anything on Sunday except church, so let's have all of the tournaments on Sunday. And I have done that too. I'm not saying you can't ever do that, but if you're doing that consistently and missing weeks at a time to play a sport, you're communicating to your children, this is more important than church. And you're gonna be shocked to find out when they become an adult, they're gonna still think the same thing. Well, church is important. Well, that's not how you raised me. And then your grandkids one day will be raised in a home where sports are more important than church. I'm not saying, like, even if you're out of town, that's fine. Go to another church before you go to the sporting event. I'm just saying we've got to get this right. We spend so much effort and energy. And can I be honest with you? I love you. Can I be honest? Your kid's not going to be a professional athlete, okay? They're just not. And if they are, it's because God gave them favor and the right eyeballs got on them and gave them a scholarship and put them on the big stage. I mean, it's so rare, but we just act like my kid he's going to be the next Babe Ruth. No, he's not. He might eat a Baby Ruth. That's about the closest you're going to get to your kid. So hey, we're going to prioritize church. And again, we got to play at Jerry World at AT&T Stadium in Dallas on a Sunday, and I'm like, that's a once-in-a-lifetime shot for my kid. I want to do that. But let that be the exception, not the norm. Like, okay, like it's Sunday. We're not doing that tournament. We'll play on Saturday. We're not going to play on Sunday because I want to make sure my family's close to God. All right. That didn't hurt too bad. Hey, as we're talking about God, as we're talking about getting close to God, I am cognizant there are some of you here who are not. And I want to give you an opportunity to do that, okay? So the Bible says in Romans 10:9, if you confess with your mouth, Jesus, your Lord, meaning he's in control, you're sovereign, you're the master, and you believe in your heart God raised Jesus from the dead, which we're going to celebrate in a few weeks at Easter. If you confess that and believe that, you'll be saved. That's what the Bible says. And so I want to give you a chance. I know a lot of your stories, but I don't know all of your stories. And I know there's people here, some of you would probably even say, you know what, if I'm honest, there's people here I have fooled. And they think I'm a Christian, but I'm really not following Christ. And I want to give you a chance to start that relationship today. So if you would do me an honor and a favor of bowing your heads and close your eyes, I'm going to pray a prayer. And if you want to pray this with me under your breath, is fine. Just mean it is really the main thing. Okay, let's pray together. Just pray something like, God, I believe that you sent your son Jesus to earth, and he lived a perfect life. But Lord, I haven't. I've messed up. And the Bible says the penalty for those mistakes that I've made is death. And yet, instead of giving me what I deserve, you gave it to your son Jesus, whom you loved. But you love me too. And greater love has no one than this when they lay down their life for me. And that's what he did. I'm so grateful he got out of that grave, that he is alive, enthroned in heaven. And he's promising me heaven. And he's promising me a better, abundant life on earth. But I need to receive the gift of salvation. I got to receive it, and I receive it today. Tell him I receive it today. Come into my life, save me, completely absolve me of all my mistakes, even the ones I haven't done yet, but will do. And lead me, God. Truly, I want you to lead me from this day forward. You're in control. I give my life to you in Jesus' name. Amen. If you prayed that prayer, I would love for you to let me know. And you can do so by texting the word SAVED to this number, 325-221-3001. Even if you're watching online, please text me the word SAVED. What it's going to do is going to send you a text back asking for your physical address. And then we'll send you a book this week that'll help you. And it's really helpful. It's a super short read, but it's a very powerful read. I just want to help you take another step in this journey with the Lord. By the way, if you came to faith today or you come to faith recently and you've never gotten baptized, we're having baptism today in this service. There's nobody signed up for this service. They're signed up for the next service. But if you want to get baptized today, in a minute, we're all going to stand up and sing. I'd love for you to get baptized. I'd be honored. There'd be nothing that would tickle me more than for you to get baptized. That'd be amazing. And so we have everything you need. We have a shirt. We have shorts, change of clothes for you. We even have underwear. We have towels. We have a photographer. You can text your friends, say, hey, tune in right now on Facebook, and they can watch it live, all right? But it's going to happen at the very end of service. And so if you want to get baptized, just come tell me. I'll be right down here as we worship in a moment, and just say, Pastor Reed, I'm ready. I'm ready to take that next step with the Lord. And it is a step he's asked you to take, so I hope that you'll take it with us today. Now listen, I've talked about a lot today. You start talking about ongoing affection and encouraging words, and I don't want you to go home and say, kids, we're going to have some fun around here. We're going to start being kind to each other, and I'm going to touch you a lot. Don't do that, okay? Don't. Maybe you pick out one or two nuggets and say, you know what, that's an area I can improve in. I could be better here. And then do that.